This is Lava Elastic. It's a neurodiverse comedy night. If you don't know what that means, neurodiversity basically means that as human beings, we all have loads. Well, we have not loads, but quite a lot of different kinds of brains rather than the usual. And then everything else being weird, which, let's face it, once upon a time it was kind of like that. But now there's the term neurotypical that's used for people that aren't, let's say, on the autistic spectrum or have ADHD. I don't know if any of you do have ADHD, but one thing that is a thing is when your flow gets broken, you kind of totally forget what you were saying. And I normally on the live night have a wing woman in the form of a lady called Jessie, who is our techie. I don't have her now because I'm in social isolation, and so is she somewhere, bless her. But basically, she kind of helps me with my flow on the night. But I'm going to rely on my own brain to do that tonight. So this is going to be interesting. But we have got really, really funny acts on. 6 of them, in actual fact. They're really varied. They're really great. The whole thing about the night is not the fact that everybody is neurodivergent, which is differently wired. It's that as a neurodiverse night, we're all just humans doing stuff. You know, everybody's just funny, doing their own thing. It's not really a narrow vision of what comedy should be. We just have a laugh. It's really informal. And it just means we can all very much be ourselves. On the live nights, we don't really do hecklers because they kind of spoil my buzz. I don't know if everybody else feels like that, but hecklers for the sake of heckling sort of get my goat. I don't know if everybody else feels that, but you know, so Lava Elastic is known for being one of the cuddliest comedy nights around, but everybody's still just really funny and does their own thing. I'm going to introduce the lovely Liz Collis, if she is happy to take the main space, as it were.
It's lovely to be here. Welcome everybody to my living room. Thank you, Sarah, for still going ahead with it tonight. I think for all of us, it's probably our first online experience at doing this. So let's just see how it all goes. I hope that everybody is doing okay, staying safe and well and staying home, saving lives, that kind of thing. Sarah asked how we're all doing. My main issue at the moment, I think, is that I've become a bit of a hypochondriac. I panicked yesterday because I developed a bit of a sore throat and then remembered that I had eaten a lot of salt and vinegar crisps. So that might have been the reason. I've also heard with coronavirus that one of the symptoms is that you can lose your sense of taste. I think one of my friends might have it because she's developed a crush on Matt Hancock, which really isn't good. To be fair, though, she does like older men, and I thought that would mean that Chris Whitty was more her type, but no, she's stuck on Matt. So in case you can't tell from where you're sat, I'm in my living room. I have made a big effort tonight. I've put on a clean jumper and I've brushed my hair. I'm quite glad we're doing this remotely, though, because over the last 2 weeks, I've eaten the entire contents of my cupboard. So the benefit of doing it remotely is that I can sit here, angle the lamp, and you can't see my elasticated waistband. So it's all good. I'm not going to show off, but I am one of the people who still has a job. I'm learning lots working from home. I've learned that it's very hard to act professional when you've been wearing the same jumper for the last 2 weeks. One tip, just brush the crumbs off first. So I had a catch up with my boss on Zoom the other day. I told her that I was feeling despondent and unfulfilled. She just said, "It's good that you still got feelings." I've discovered that I can see Sarah laughing to that. I've discovered that I'm at an age where the men in my life decide to run marathons because nothing says midlife crisis more than a social worker running 26 miles in the rain. I'm now over 40. You might not tell the lamplight. I've tried to get as flattering as possible. I think I'm looking okay for my age, which was confirmed when a lovely young guy told me that I could pass for a tired 34. One thing I've noticed about getting older is it raises lots of questions. One thing I found myself asking recently was, when did Captain Birdseye start looking so hot? I don't know if you've seen the adverts, but he's a bit of a fitty these days. I live on my own here in Shoreham. Every year, the council, they send me a reminder to renew the single person discount on my council tax bill. Every year, I complete the form and return it and say my circumstances haven't changed. But I have started to add now, thank you for your optimism. I've inherited lots from my family. From my mum, from my dad, I've inherited height. From my mum, I've inherited a deep hatred of the TV presenter, Noel Edmonds. My mum says that she hates Donald Trump more, but only because Noel isn't in any position of real global power. I've also developed her weak upper arms. I've inherited her weak upper arms. On her side of the family, our muscles stop developing as soon as we are strong enough to open a bottle of Prosecco. My dad, he's discovered that you can put photos on things and give them as gifts. My brother, he did okay. He got mugs with pictures of his wife and kids on them. I got a jigsaw. It was an enlarged photo of my face. Thank you, Dad. My brother, he lives in America. He hates it when I correct my nephews for speaking with American accent. I've kind of given the punchline away on that by saying he lives in America. I felt that I had to explain that because we're all living remotely and separately. But anyway, I tell him that my nephew shouldn't be speaking with American accent. But then I have to remember that they do live in America and they are American. I just still think you've got to have some standards, though. So anyway, I'm going to share with you a tip from one of my favourite self-identifying male feminists, Nick Knowles from DIY SOS. Nick worries that us ladies won't be able to protect ourselves when we go out at night. He suggests that we learn to use our high heels and our clutch bags as defensive weapons. Sadly, I've never met Nick Knowles, which is a shame, because I think it would be the perfect opportunity to practice. I am actually worried about Nick. I don't think that his ego is going to cope very well with self-isolation, so I think some celebrities might find this time tough. People are often surprised to learn that I'm not a scientist. If I were, I know what I would study first. Why it is that people with big hair, why they seek out their own kind. Because I don't believe that Brian May and Anita Dobson, I don't believe that that just happened by chance. I've had some health issues myself over the last year. Thankfully, everything's okay. I've been diagnosed, though, with a rare condition, which I'm quite smug about, because I always kind of knew I was a little bit special. So my main problem is my inability to not say anything stupid during hospital appointments. I had to have a heart scan. A lovely young Australian nurse carried mine out. He told me to wear a hospital gown and nothing underneath. I had to lie on my side with my arm above my head. The only thing that went through my mind to say was, paint me like one of your French girls, Jack. Good. On the plus side, my consultant is really very hot. He's about the same age as me. He's just clearly made much better life choices. Over the last year, he's been monitoring me closely, which I think is doctor speak for being a bit of a flirt. when I first met him, I had just had to do a urine sample. I had badly misjudged the angle of the shiwi and poured the contents over the inside of my jeans. So I didn't give off the sophisticated professional woman vibe that I hoped to. I gave off a slightly musty aroma and left a damp patch on the plastic chair when I left. Not good. At the moment, I've been joining in, as I'm sure everyone has, the clapping for the NHS. So I'm enjoying that. But every time I do it, I save a special little clap for my consultant. So thinking of him. I got a sweet text from a friend the other day. She said, every time I hear the phrase underlying health condition, I think of you. So that's nice. I was hoping that I might get one of those letters from the government saying that I needed to be shielded. Basically, I would do anything right now just to get a supermarket delivery. My only worry about getting one of those letters was that the government might have control over my shopping and find out how many crisps I actually eat. My plan was, if I got one of those letters, I was going to stick it in my living room window, put a shopping list next to it, and then scrawl on the window in red paint, help me deliver snacks. So, but sadly not to be. It's only been a couple of weeks so far, and I've completely lost the inability to act with any human being other than via the medium of Zoom. When I used to take my dog for a walk, I would say to him under my breath if I met somebody that was annoying. So somebody who was, I don't know, riding a bike on a pavement, or somebody not stopping at a zebra crossing, or if I'd see a grown man riding a micro scooter, under my breath I'd say to my dog, Arthur, that's what a misogynist looks like. Now I just shout it in their face. So weird times. I was talking about marathons at the beginning. My dad, he ran his first marathon in his 60s. I didn't see him for hours. I just thought that he was dead. My dad was wearing a T-shirt which he'd printed a picture of my old dog on the front. It was in tribute because he had recently died. My old dog had recently died. My dad smiled and waved when he spotted me in the crowd. The combination of sweat and rain meant that my dad's nipples had chafed. My collie cross looked like he was bleeding from his eyes. It's like a canine version of one of those statues that weeps blood. It's not good. The woman next to me had difficulty explaining to her children what they'd just witnessed. On the plus side, though, he did make the front page of the East Anglian Daily Times, which he printed out and turned into coasters. So all was well in the end. So I am going to leave you with that awful visual image of my dad. And thank you for being my lovely online audience for my first online gig. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thanks, Liz. That was Liz Collis. Thank you, Liz. That was great. Can we all? Can you hear me now, guys? Cool. That was really brilliant. Thank you. That was our first act. Yay. I've got to say, I kind of relate to the thing about social distancing being a weird thing, or like this isolation thing messing with your head, because I realised when I went out of the house the other day, because I had to go do some shopping, I sort of found myself doing kind of a skippy dance thing. So it's like, you know, someone had emerged from behind a car and I'd be really shocked. And so I kind of do a skippy thing across the road to get to the other side. I blatantly know that I looked like I had, like, I don't know, there was something going on objectively, anybody that saw me. But I mean, personally, I feel no shame in it. They were walking too close. It's just that simple. But I had a Zoom conversation with my family a couple of weeks ago for the first time in our lives ever. We don't do video chats. So it was clunky. But I sort of pointed out how difficult it was living in a city because they all live in slightly more remote places. And my older sister just said, I think we need to explain the rules of social distancing to Sarah. Like I was some kind of idiot that was having freakouts every time I go out of my front door. I mean, I kind of am, and she knows me really well. But I just like to think that I'm not that paranoid that other people are sort of feeling that too. That might not be the case. The funny thing is, because you're all on mute, I can feel the tumbleweed, even though that might not be what's going through your head. It's like there's just tumbleweed reflecting back. So yeah, Liz, the social distancing thing is these are weird times. I'm not going to dwell on it too long. I keep myself very distracted deliberately. I'm going to move on to the next person that's really funny. I'm not funny technically, so I'm just going to move on to the next person that is. The next person who's going to entertain you guys, us guys, is George Heslop. And I don't think I need to tell you too much about him other than he's great. And I'm going to mute myself. George Heslop.
Hello. How's everyone doing? I'm coming live from the Amazon rainforest here, obviously. No, I'm at home. But I did try and write some material about Corona, but it was so dark that I can't say it in public. So I'm doing my usual stuff here. So people say youth is wasted on the young, right? But my 20s were an absolute bag of bollocks. Like a bag for life bag of bollocks that's so tattered and torn, Tesco's won't replace it. Yes, that shit. I was broke, I was single, and I was working in Pizza Express. No, not the one in Woking. I managed to fail not 1 but 2 degrees, getting myself into £50,000 worth of debt for nothing. But don't worry, the debt gets wiped out when you turn 64. Around the same time, I plan on having a massive stroke. Fail to plan, plan to fail. That's what my mum always used to say. But I'm a lot happier now. I've got a flat. I've got a job I don't hate yet. I've got a girlfriend I don't hate yet. By the way, if you want to piss off your girlfriend, cheat on her. No. Introduce her as your flatmate next time you're at a dinner party. She bloody hates it. But where we're up to here. But I wasn't forward planning in my 20s. The only forward planning I was making was what are the drugs? Where are the drugs? How do I take the drugs? Why? Because I want drugs. I was mad for it. I used to go to field raves, right? And the worst thing I ever did was get into the car with someone on ketamine. In my defense, they shouldn't be letting horses drive in the first place. But I had a pretty decent childhood. I was a child actor for 48 hours. They filmed a period drama in my village in Cumbria, and the production company came to my school looking for children. It wasn't anything dodgy. I got picked out because I looked most susceptible to a good old-fashioned grooming. Plus, I was heavily malnourished, exactly like the children of 1882, right? They dressed us up as miners. Not other children, that'd be weird. People who work underground. They covered us in mud, drenched us in river water, and made us dig for gold for 12 hours a day, even after the cameras had left, right? It was brutal. They paid us £3 a day and told us never to speak to our parents ever again, right? Eventually, ITV broadcast a show, and it turned out it was a documentary on child labour, right? But who knew? I mean, who knew? It hasn't affected me in the slightest. But I've always struggled to get ahead. I was never very academic, even as a kid. I barely even passed my GCSEs, right? My head teacher even said sorry when he handed me my results. How was that? Can you imagine if I intercepted his medical results and told him he had terminal cancer? That wouldn't be very nice, now would it? But I moved out my parents' house when I was 16. I mean, I was kicked out of my parents' house when I was 16. I went for a job in a biscuit factory, right? And it said unlimited Jaffa cakes on the wall, right? They turned me away because I could read. I went for a job in McDonald's. It said unlimited Big Macs, right? I hospitalized myself because I thought it was a challenge. I went for a job in a pub. It said give good head. I didn't last very long. dodgy knees. But even as an adult, I've struggled to get ahead. I'm just not made of managerial stuff. I could barely even manage my own facial expressions, let alone a team of people. But I'm technically a manager in my current position. But the only thing I actually manage is my own boredom. There's only so much time you can spend hiding in the toilet. 4 hours was my record, but that's only because I knocked myself out on the cold tap on purpose. But like Liz said, I've actually been doing a lot of running recently, away from my crippling debts. I did the London Marathon last year, and nobody tells you there's a realistic chance you might die. My whole life flashed before my eyes. It was shit. But the atmosphere is absolutely fantastic. People hold up all sorts of silly signs. One said, keep running, you can poo at the end. And I thought, too late, mate, too late. Another said, I shagged your uncle. And I was thinking, that's a bit of a weird way to find out your dad's into incest. Another one said, you're adopted. And it was my bloody mum. My parents are always trying to outdo each other. But I was doing a bit of research on exercise last night, right? And did you know breast milk can taste sour after intense exercise, right? And I was thinking, who's trying this shit before and after to compare? It's madness. Anyway, right, I'm going to leave you there. I hope everyone's had a good night and enjoy the rest of the show and stay safe. Bye.
Thanks, George. So it's kind of Easter, but it doesn't feel like Easter. I mean, I don't know if you're kind of Easter people normally. I don't know if I mean, I'm a chocolate person, and you know, it sounds really ridiculous to say it's nice when the world slows down, because let's face it, we could kind of do with it speeding up a little bit again at the moment. The break was nice for a few minutes, but the fact that they wouldn't deliver chocolate eggs, I'm still reeling. I did publicly shame them on Twitter to see if that would force their hand in giving me a response. Bastards. Wine and chocolate eggs. But then it's Good Friday and I guess everybody wants wine and chocolate eggs. But I don't care, I wanted mine. So this is a weirdly confusing time, isn't it? It's weirdly contradictory. It's like, you know, it feels like it's quite mellow, and then something happens, like you can't get what you normally need in a really strange circumstance, and it's like you realise we're living in the Twilight Zone suddenly, which is strange. I'm going to shut up now, and I'm going to introduce you to our next act. I think that she might be ready. I'm going to stop my waffle and I'm going to mute myself, and we're going to take a journey into the mind of Cheekykita.
Hello? Hello, you're in my mind now. This is what it looks like, yeah. Welcome, I am the mind, and we're going in now. Going in. All right. I'm a flurry, obviously, and this is fucking weird, isn't it? And I'm from Cornwall, so if you don't understand my accent, that's why it's a bit fucked up. And what else? A little bit about me. This morning I was in the bath, and someone put some bubbles in the bath, and they went in my mouth, and that's why I speak like this. I've got bubble mouth. Bubble mouth. Bubble mouth. That's right. Can you hear me? Can you see me? I don't know. I can't see anyone. It's fucking weird. And right. Let me slow it down a bit now. Does anyone like Radiohead? I don't know what you say because you're muted. So just pretend that you do like Radiohead. I'm going to do a song, okay? For your Radiohead song. You can join in at home if you know the words, but I've changed them. So I don't fucking know them. When I saw you before, Can't look you in the eye. You look like an angel. Your skin makes me cry. You float like a feather in a beautiful world. And it was sort of special. A fucking special. But I'm a creepy crawly. I'm a fly-do. What the hell am I doing here? I don't belong here. My legs are long. Thank you. You might be clapping, though. You might not be. If you're clapping, thank you. If you're not clapping, never mind. Oh, shark attack. Okay, now, I don't really like being a fly, you know, because it does fly around and you land on shit. I don't really like being a fly. You've only got one day to live, and I spend it flying around your life, acting like a div. I could go to Malaga or Madagascar or sip on a cocktail somewhere more exotic, but I don't. All right, I'm going to buzz off now and introduce you to somebody else, my friend here. Wait a minute, I'll be back in a minute. My friend's coming. I am the black hole, obviously, if you didn't get that. I suck things in. I spit them out again when I don't like the taste. Yesterday I had 1,500,000 galaxy, chocolate bar, Milky Way. Who wants to go inside my hole? Normally I would come round the audience and suck you in, but I can't suck you in today. Sorry about that. Even if you were an audience like live, I won't suck you in because I can't touch you. So that was a black hole, and I'm just going to finish with one little bit on the theme of space. So I'm going to introduce you to someone I met in space. Uranus. Join in if you know the words. I'm the king of the bumholes, the bumhole VIP. Yeah, a bum, a bum, 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 a bum, 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 a bummer in me. Yeah, a bummer did a bum, bum, bum. What? A bum right into town. A bum, bum. Now I point at you and you just say bum from home, even though no one can hear it. Bum. I want a bum, bum. I want a bum. Bum, you bum, 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 bum. All right, let's leave that bit now. Okay, finale. Right, that was the mind. Yes, that was Cheekykita, and I'm her mind saying goodbye now. Goodbye, everybody.
That really hurt my face. Ah, that was Cheekykita. I'm absolutely done in after that. I'm trying to be large screen again. Ha! That was Cheekykita, guys. It's funny, you know, I kind of want to ask how you're all doing, but I need you all to stay muted. There's like a weird sort of what's the word? I don't know. It feels like it's a kidnapping or a hostage situation or something where I want to know your opinions, but are you all good? Wave or something, or are we all happy? Yeah, so that was the wonderful Cheekykita, and I don't really know how to follow that for a moment, except to say my face hurts a lot. And I had a coughing fit. So I'm not going to talk much about, I don't know if you've noticed that I really like lights. And there's like, these are flamingos. and that's a projector that's the sky at night. And I usually use a lot of lights on stage for Lava Elastic. I would show you the ones over there, but I think it's better to just stay in the bit of my flat that looks like it's clean and tidy. You know, because that's the beauty of having us all in a frame, isn't it? We can pretend, we can keep up the smoke and mirrors to some extent. You don't need to know about the absolute ramshackle mess that's going on in the rest of it. So I won't show you those lamps. I could bring one over, actually. There's a nice glitter lamp. At this stage, normally, this is where my wing woman, my techie wing woman intervenes at some point quite soon to say, Sarah, stop talking about lights. But she's not here and we're not there yet. So this one here, this is a pink glitter lamp. It's a bit of a beauty, this one. I know it probably just looks like a very bright mulch to you guys, but what it actually is, or like a lightsaber in lava lamp form, which is sort of cool, I think, anyway. So that's one. And I just didn't want to fully break the tradition of Lava Elastic because we've gone on screen, because, you know, lights are a really big part of what Lava Elastic is. I'm very much an obsessive. I take photos of light fittings a lot, and have an Instagram full of light fittings of Instagram, both outdoor light fittings of Instagram and indoor light fittings of Instagram. And then just sort of things that are hybrid that I just like to put on that hashtag because I like them and I want to include them under that heading, you know, just, I suppose, just sort of stretching that, just, you know, indulging myself with that. But I do like lights. You know, I'd sort of say to anyone, you know, look around you. Light is sort of a really important part of the world that we live in, and we all take it for granted. Some of us don't. Some of us get more distracted by light than other human beings often and forget what we're talking about and trail off, and which I am working on. It's really quite difficult not having someone to intervene and say the runaway train has kind of left the station. I am going to put the next act on. The next person we've got on is Fab. He's Brill. And again, I'm not going to give him much of an intro. I'm just going to let him speak for himself. And this is, if he's ready, Mbaku. I'm going to mute myself now.
Hello, hello. How's everybody doing? Everybody can hear me? I can't see. Everybody can hear me? Just, yeah, that's perfect. I am Mbaku, like Sarah said. I don't believe I would come with the corona stuff too, but like my man said, my stuff is dark as well. So we'll just introduce myself to you. So we'll start off with, I already said it, I'm sounding repetitive, but my name is Mbaku. I come from Namibia. If you don't know where Namibia is, it's fine. I'm not your geography teacher. I'm not going to put you under pressure. You're not in a test. Namibia is in Southwest Africa, right? I grew up there in the 90s. Now, people understand growing up in Namibia in the 90s, okay, is the equivalent to growing up in England in the 60s. Right? For example, clothes shopping. 1 second. The cat was heckling me, so I had to let him go. Equivalent to growing up in England in the 60s. For example, clothes shopping, right? There was only 2 good things about my clothes shopping when I was coming up. That was number 1, everything came for free. Number 2, I did not need to leave the house. Some of you might know what that kind of shopping is called, but if you don't, it's called hand-me-downs. If you don't know what a hand-me-down is, you are privileged in my eyes. But let me explain it to you. A hand-me-down in my case was when my uncle went to my 57th cousin, okay? And he'd come back clutching a jumper and bags of enthusiasm, talking about, try it on, go, try it on, try it on, go, try it on. And I'll be there like, and he'd be there like, it looks good. I mean, it's a little bit big, but you will grow into it. And I'll be there like, a little bit big? Are we looking at the same shit? Sleeves are by my ankles. And why in the hell has it got holes in it? And I swear to God, this guy will look me dead in the eye, right? And he go, you children of today, you know nothing about fashion. And maybe there's something wrong with that GPS thing in your head and you've forgotten where you are, my son. You are in Africa. Here, heat is in abundance. If it gets too much, step outside. Heat is in abundance. Step outside, you will find it. If it gets too much, that is what the holes are for. Go play. Now, I want to talk about my mama as well. Like, there was a time I got one over my mother. I believe it's very hard to get one over your mother. It only happens once or twice. It's a very rare moment. But for me, it happened when I was around the age of 6 years old. It was in Africa. It was a family reunion. And the family came over in their thousands, you know, type of stuff to rival Glastonbury. And my mama did something. She lined up all the little kids that were at the reunion. And this is what she said, right? She was like, you children, you listen, and you listen to me good. None of you, I repeat, none of you is allowed any of the soft cans in the fridge. You can have squash until the party starts, right? Now, people, then she proceeded, right, and said something which boggled my mind, okay? She said, if any of you touch any of those soft cans in the fridge, I swear to God, I will beat the black off of you. Now, people, at the tender age of 6 years old, right, it just registered in my head that Michael Jackson must have drank a can of Coke that did not belong to him, okay? So I sat down, pondered on it for a little bit, and then it came to me. I was like, that's what I'm going to do. So I walked into the kitchen where my grandmother was preparing some salad. I was like, Nan, can I have a can of Coke? And she was like, of course, because why the fuck not, right? So I took this can of Coke and I proceeded to the front porch where my mom was sat. Looked her dead in the eyes like, and she got up, right? She was like, you defy me, you defy me. And she raised her hand. I presume people to beat the black off of me, right? But I stopped her midway. I was like, now you hold on, mama. You have told me in my 6 year short span of life that the most important thing for a child to do is to listen to their mother. Now you listen to your goddamn mother because she said I could have the can of Coke. Now, people, I like to introduce you to my uncle, right? The guy that used to handle my shopping. Like, this guy is so money conscious, right? That there's no word for it. I can't call him tight. I can't call him greedy. There's no word for it. I have to give you a scenario, right? That's the only way you can comprehend how tight this guy is. And it happened when we came over to England. After we landed, I decided to fly his ass over to England. Not personally, I'm not a pilot. I paid for the ticket. And when he landed, I pointed at him. I was like, I'm going to take you and mom for something to eat. He was like, sounds good. I'm ready. So I took him to Wetherspoons. All right, I'm not fancy. And when we got to Wetherspoons, we sat down in this order. It was me first, then my mom, and then it was the big man. They handed us some menus. I had a look at my menu. I was like, I like the look of the steak. I like the steak. My mama opened hers and she was like, I like the Caesar salad. I like the Caesar salad. And the big man opened his and he was like, just give me the rack of ribs. I like the rack of ribs. Right? And when they bought the food up, after the waitress put the food down and she disappeared, I swear to God, people, in the corner of my eye, a fly buzzed his way into Wetherspoons, right onto my steak. Pissed me off, but I did what anybody in this room would do, right? Flicked the fly away, cut the bit it landed on, threw it in the bin. When I flicked the fly away, it buzzed its way onto my mama's Caesar salad. She did the same thing. And then he buzzed onto the big man's rack of ribs, right? Now, people, this guy did something that to this day, I don't know how he did it. And I'm yet to find the scientists that'll explain the science. But this guy, he grabbed this fly by the wing and he was patting it on the back, talking about spit it out, you did not chip in. I'm going to leave you with this, ladies and gentlemen. 2 days ago, for the first time in my life, I felt like a female solo porno star, right? I know, sounds bizarre. Let me elaborate, okay? At the minute, I'm on the front line. I'm COVID-19 front line, so I'm a cleaner at Southampton General Hospital, right? And I was swinging my mop the other day, and I just got hit by this sudden rush of thirst, right? And that's when I decided to make the biggest mistake of my life, right? I stepped to the biggest hustlers in England, right? Some of you might know who they are, but if you don't, I'll tell you who they are. They're motherfucking vending machines, okay? And you know how it goes. You step to the thing, you're like, Jesus Christ, £1.50 for a can of Coke. This is extortion. And then this thing engages you in this subtitle v words conversation, right? Where it goes insert coin. And you're like, no problem. £1, 50p. And then he goes, select item. You'll be like, can of Coke, D6. Tick, tick. And then he goes, insert coin. I was like, what the fuck do you mean I gave you 2? So I got angry, right? Kicked the thing, stuck my toe, right? And in that moment there, my anger quenched my thirst, right? So I turned around to call it quits. Well, took about 3 steps. And then I had this big bang. And there it was, my can of Coke. People, without thinking, ran back, right? Picked it up, opened it. Swear to God, a third of it went on my chest, a third of it on my trousers, and the remainder on the floor, okay? And in that moment there, my anger quenched my thirst. So I took this can of Coke, slung it in the bin. And when it disappeared from view, these 3 beautiful females came around the corner and they were laughing at me, talking about I pissed myself. And then I looked up and I noticed that this whole scenario got caught on CCTV. And that, ladies and gentlemen, it's the moment where I felt like a female solo porno star. Because I lost dignity, it got wet whilst getting fucked by a machine on camera. I've been back with myself and I thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks, Mbaku. That was Mbaku. I'm going to mute myself just for a second, just so someone that wants to break the silence can, just because I'm feeling a little bit like I go deaf in between acts, if that's all right. So if someone wants to say anything.
Cheers.
Hi, sorry people, my battery might die. So if I do cut off, like I'll come back. I'll try and charge you, all right? I'll keep it in. I'm just like the charger's not catching. So if it does die, I'm hoping it won't. But if it does die, I'll be back instantly, all right? I haven't left.
Thanks, Mbaku. That's cool.
This is really good. As everyone's mentioned, slightly bizarre, given that we can't communicate in the way that we're used to, but it's really awesome. And everyone's just giving it all. So yay and great. And thank you.
Thank you. That is Sarah, who is actually Sweet Venues, who, when we're physically in a space, we're in Sweet Venues. So Sarah is actually normally the person who helps me get things done on the night. It's very strange to not be in the same space as you. But she basically keeps me sane, stops me from forgetting things, gets the audience in, basically manages everything so I can waffle nonsense. So tonight she gets to take a load off and hopefully doesn't think I'm spectacularly fucked up too much, glitch-wise, or, you know.
Not at all. You're doing grand, hon. Don't you worry. You know, just be you, and that is enough.
You're very kind. Hopefully, as long as I don't like break the computer or, you know, or God forbid we bore people too much, or, you know, so thanks, Sarah. But normally Sarah doesn't get to take a load off. She normally does all the work and doesn't even get to be in the room. So this is like a really weird experience for you, isn't it? It never even occurred to me that you normally don't even get to see the acts. You miss the whole thing because you're actually running everything else. Okay, cool. That's kind of a special first as well. That's cool. I'm going to put another act on in a second. I don't think I'm going to show you any of my lights, but I am going to show you these little Easter chickens that I got just because I don't have any pets. I aspire to have a cat. I'm a cat mad person, like many people are. But I do have these little chickens, and they're kind of cute. Don't know if you can even see those. They're kind of packed in there, so I'm not going to take up too much time getting them out of their box. But they're little Easter chickens. I still haven't got any goddamn chocolate, but actually that's not true. I've got a crunchie. I watched an episode of The Vicar of Dibley yesterday, and I realised her obsession is crunchies. And I've had a crunchie in my house for about 4 days that weirdly I've eaten all the other chocolate that I had in the last couple of weeks, apart from the crunchie. And then I saw her just have it like there was... I don't really need to share this with you, do I? I'm going to introduce the lovely Kathryn Spencer, and I'm going to mute myself.
Hello, I'm Kathryn, and I've been mourning for the death of David Cassidy. Now, do we all know who David Cassidy is? Well, for those of you who don't, I'll tell you. He was the Justin Bieber of the 1970s, but with talent. And he was my childhood idol, and he was absolutely gorgeous. And I'm going to show you a picture of, hope you can see that, David Cassidy. Isn't he lovely? Can you see him? There we go. He's got this lovely sort of brown feathered hair that was called the shag haircut. I think it means something different in America, but I'm sure David Cassidy got plenty of shags. Anyway, he was my idol. I was 12, 13 years old, had his picture on my bedroom wall, usually from the pages of Jackie magazine. Can you see that? Now that is what people look. That's what people looked like in the 1970s. They were sort of hairy and orange. That's what we looked like in the 1970s. Now David Cassidy was so special that he used to have a pin-up over 3 weeks. Now, number one, that you could put on your bedroom wall and piece together. The pin-up on the first week was his head and shoulders. In the third week, it was his legs. And in the second week, I hope you can see this. Can you see that? It was the crotch of David Cassidy. So that's what little girls used to put on their bedrooms in the 1970s. Now, I've got a confession to make in that I only liked David Cassidy for about 6 months. And then I switched allegiance to his great rival, Donny Osmond. You know, the sort of Mormon with the big teeth. But then David Cassidy died. It was actually about 2 years ago, so I've been in mourning for a long time. And I suddenly realised that I had picked the wrong teen idol. David Cassidy was much better than Donny Osmond. He was better looking. He had better voice. He didn't have as big teeth. So since then, I've been trying to catch up on the legacy of David Cassidy. I've been going on eBay and buying up all his old records, all his old singles. I don't actually have a record player, but it's the thought that counts. And I've been joining all these David Cassidy Facebook tribute groups, like they're called things like David Cassidy, We Cherish You, Handsome Actor David Cassidy, and Sad Middle-Aged Women who like David Cassidy. But my favourite is the David Cassidy Spiritual Communication Channel. Now, this is run by a lady in America called Mary, who's 62. And she believes that she has sex with the ghost of David Cassidy. Now, you wouldn't get that happening with Donny Osmond, would you? Alive or dead. Now, some people think I'm obsessed with David Cassidy, but you know, I don't think so. You see that? It's a little pennant with David Cassidy on. Anyway, that's probably enough about David Cassidy for now. And anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I'm also in mourning again for the death of my cat, my poor cat that died. Yeah, And it's taken me a while to get over it. But luckily, I've reached out to the pages of Take a Break, Fate and Fortune magazine, which has a special psychic called Texas, the Psychic Horse. And you show a picture of your dead animal to Texas, the Psychic Horse, and he gives you a reading. And this is what Texas, the Psychic Horse, said that my cat Kitty said to me. It was basically, you should put this behind you as soon as possible. I am fine now, and this is why you need to be too. So, not what I was hoping to hear, but there you go. Texas, the Psychic Horse. Now, what else? I've joined Weight Watchers. I've joined Weight Watchers. I pay £5.99 a week just to be weighed. I should just cut out the middleman, weigh myself at home, and spend the £5.99 on chocolate. I am trying to eat more healthily, more fruit, more grapes. So here's my 5 a day. Chardonnay, Sauvignon, Champagne. I forget the rest. I've never had children. I could never give up alcohol for 9 months. I've got to stop buying idiotic stuff on the internet late at night. After I've had a drink or two, I end up buying stuff for an imaginary me who's 20 years younger, 3 dress sizes smaller, and who, to put it frankly, is a bit of a tart. I'm going to finish soon, but I just want to tell you that how exciting social isolation has been for me, because I work from home, and normally I don't leave the home. I stay there all day in my dressing gown, and now I found out with social isolation, you're supposed to get up and do exercise. So it's been a world of wonder for me. Anyway, I better go because I've got to go off and have sex with the ghost of David Cassidy. Goodbye. Have a lovely rest of the evening, everybody. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathryn. That was Kathryn Spencer, guys. Do you know, I'm going to be really honest. This has been a week of, in between just adjusting to all the weirdness of this, I've actually been quite weirdly nervous about trying to make this work tonight. Basically because I said I would, and then I'm not very techie. I said I would, and then I taunted myself with failing at it all week with, you know, anxiety dreams, just the usual things of, I don't know if anybody else gets this, blind panic, blind terror in the early hours of the morning, in the middle of the night, in the middle of the day, just generally about all kinds of things, not just this. I mean, at the moment, we've got other things that give us blind terror, but we're not going to talk about those things tonight unless we're talking about the nice bits of them, because there's other time for that, isn't there? Let's face it. Although I don't want to shut anybody up, so feel free if you do want to talk about it, guys. I'm not vetoing it. I just thought we could all use a break. But yeah, do you know, I had a point and I forgot what it was. I'm so sorry, guys. Oh my God, I totally forgot what my point was. I think I've been in social isolation for too long. Maybe that's my point. Maybe that's my point.
You were talking about being worried about doing this online, but actually, I'll just speak for myself, but I think you're doing really fucking well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think that I just feel like I've gone a little bit mad, and I just love all of you for being here and sharing in this shared madness with me.
I feel like we've gone mad, don't worry.
I think we have a little, haven't we? I think we all have a little bit. However, it doesn't seem like a fully unhealthy mad, because a lot of people do keep saying, well, life is at a better pace in some ways. You're all going to really frown on what I'm about to say, but I'm being really honest. So the thing is, I don't dig crowds of people. I find crowds of people very difficult, actually, which seems ridiculous because I'm a promoter. But the point is, if you stand on a stage and have a microphone, technically you are separate to the crowd of people in front of you. So actually, that means you don't have to have conversations with them. This is the loophole, you see. So this is the loophole I've found anyway. So this situation with social isolation, I had to go to the shop again to do some, like, just get some food in yesterday. And on the way back, bearing in mind it's beautiful weather at the moment, I'm really, really lucky. I know I am, in that I live a few minutes away from the sea. I'm really lucky, although a lot of the time I have too much anxiety to get to the sea, and it's 8 minutes away. Seriously. At the moment, I feel like there's the zombie apocalypse between me and the sea and my front door, and but I've got to say, there was a moment where I was walking up the street and I thought, oh, isn't Hove idyllic? Oh, isn't it lovely? There was only like 3 people out on the street. It looked like, it was sunny and blue skies and the sea's down the road. And, it looked like you'd imagine England in the 1980s when we were kids and there was hardly anybody about all the time, when there weren't so many people, basically. And I just thought, how fucked up is that we have to have such a really weird situation before there's just not a bombardment of loads of people in the world and cars and noise. And so I apologize for feeling that way, guys. And I know it's probably frowned on because it's come in a weird way, but there's something strangely comforting about a little bit of a slower pace. Don't know if anybody else is feeling it.
I'm enjoying not going on the rush hour tube in London, like squashed in like a bloody sardine. It's nice. It
actually does feel like being a sardine in there as well, doesn't it? I can totally see the point. So I'm not on my own then, perversely thinking that there's something strangely idyllic with like a nightmare undertone. Yeah.
Seeing the positive side.
Hey?
It's good that you're seeing the positive side.
I come from a family of pathological optimists. I kind of don't have a choice.
That's good.
But there is a pathology involved in that, so it's not great. It's not fully great, but thanks, George. I'm going to keep working with the good stuff. Maybe we'll put more comedy on, just because all of us are going to need more comedy for a while. Just for a while, Yeah. I'm going to shut up. And I'm going to introduce the last and the next act, and he's brilliant.
Can we say something before we move on? Just quickly, I want to say thank you. First of all, just like you, Sarah, I too am not a fan of crowds. And my loophole is I'm supposed to wear glasses like you, but I take them off because I become blind. That way I can't see the audience. That's how I get away with otherwise I'll be too nervous. But I gotta say I want to say truly thank you, because I've been going through the nerves and I did not have to have the extra pressure of setting it up and testing it and all of that. So I want to say thank you, for dealing with all of that kind of thing. Really appreciate you putting us on, man. It's highly appreciated.
Thanks, that was really nice to hear. Thank you. It's been really great to have you guys all here tonight. This was the first one. It's gone pretty smoothly, really, in many ways, hasn't it? And it's really been fun. I've had loads of fun. Hopefully you all have. We're on to our last act. I'm going to shut up and I'm going to leave you with, I'm going to come back and talk a bit of nonsense after, but not too long, I promise. But I'm going to hand over and bring to the main space again, Stephen Catling.
Okay, so here's my greatest pressure here, because easy performing in front of people, but then I look to my wall and I've got all of the pythons looking very intensely at me. I'm like, guys, I'm trying my best. Stop it. Why is John Cleese looking the angriest? Stop it, John Cleese. Eric Idle looks fine, but everyone else just looks disapproving. I'm doing my best. Anyway, so yeah, I don't think working in the NHS is having any impact on my mental health whatsoever. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the past now. I don't know how a heart works. So back in the time when we could actually see people in person. I remember one friend of mine was doing something that really irritates me, and that was taking selfies. Now, it's not the selfies in itself, it was the fact they doing what's known as duck face. Now, duck face, for those who don't know, is when people pout their lips like a duck in an attempt to look more attractive. Now, I don't know about you, because I've never gone down to a park, had a look at a duck and thought, yeah, you know what? I want to fuck that because I can't. It's not fair on the ducks. So I'm thinking, what can I do in the situation? That's it. I'm going to get in the car really quickly. I'm going to drive down the motorway. I'm going to kick the door down to my house and go, wife, I'm going to cover you in feathers and put Pringles in your mouth and cover you to dog. You're my dog for tonight. Except I can't do that because I don't have a car or a wife or a home. This is a lie. I just live here. It's not home. No heart here. But why a duck of all things? Why not a more attractive animal like, I don't know, a lion, a falcon, or a majestic moose? So I've invented an alternative. It's called moose face. This is moose face, everybody. Do I look pretty now? I'm judging by his... I got a thumb. I got one thumb up. I got 3 thumbs. I've got foot. I've got thumbs. I can't count. Thank you for your agreement. Oh, it's all the thumbs. Oh, we found a new way to interact with audiences. Yay! No, because that's what I usually do. I usually interact with people, but I can't because. Anyway, so moose face was great when I invented it originally, but there's a slight problem with it, and that's the fact that the line between reality and fantasy is beginning to blur, which in the current situation, that's just breaking it even further. But like, I can no longer distinguish between the man and the beast. So in 10 years' time, they say, hey, do you remember that Stephen Catling fella? I'm like, yes, I remember Stephen. But he's more moose than man now. Twisted and evil. Of course, that's if I lived that long, because, you know, I'm 26 right now, and that's quite old for a moose, because I was getting into dangerous situations before this isolation and outbreak happened. Because, like, I remember once I was in the forest in America grazing on some grass, as you do on a typical Friday night out with the lads. Am I right? Lads. It doesn't work when there's one person. That's why they have to. Okay, there's one person doing it. That's. Thank you for. Thank you. Apparently, lad, you can do lads online. Anyway, but next thing you know, I got shot, and I didn't die that day because I woke up to the sound of country music later, which I really wish I didn't. I also was getting into cage fighting, and by that I mean I've been going down to the London Zoo to beat the shit out of a moose because his lady friend's been giving me the doe eye. Oh, I'm allowed some of those. Speaking of which, I fucked a moose, and by that I don't mean the animal. I mean there's basically things have been getting a bit lonely because you know when you're out in the supermarket, next thing you know you're putting your dick in the pudding, screaming, "Hey, make some beef soup! Get through the pain! I'm being a man!" And luckily the ladies are like, listen. I'm surprised I haven't had my housemates knock already, because last time I did a set, they got really upset saying, "Yeah, I'm working in the morning." I'm like, it's 9:30. You're fine. So I'm not allowed to breed, by the way, and have kids. No, I had a letter from the government. Look, let me get the letter. That is just a thing from the Liberal Democrats trying to swim in. But we'll pretend. Dear Mr. Catling, you're a weirdo. You're not allowed to breed. Lots of love, hugs and kisses. The government. P.S. We know about the ducks, which is slander, because I'm clearly a moose man. But that means every time I'm out in public, I start to panic for different reasons. Because if like if there's ever an erection, I'm thinking of which, you know, is pretty much all the time because of all of them damn sexy ducks. The ducks are taking over. It's their time now. Rise of the Ducks, Planet of the Ducks. What would that look? Sorry, I'm thinking a parody of, instead of Planet of the Apes, it's now Planet of the Ducks. It doesn't work. They don't have hands. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about something else. So you notice my T-shirt. It's Ghostbusters. We all recognize Ghostbusters. Yep. For me, this is I love it. But there's one problem because for most people, this is just the symbol of the beloved 1984 family-friendly comedy Ghostbusters. But from a perspective of a ghost, this is a symbol of oppression, and the Ghostbusters are the KKK for ghosts. For ghosts specifically, it's like Jesus Christ, Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, the other two. Just because ghosts can't touch things doesn't mean they can't feel. Hashtag afterlives matter. But there's another reason why Ghostbusters upsets me so much, and that's the portrayal of demonic possession. Because in high school, I was put down in the yearbook as the most likely to get possessed. Not because of my practice of satanic rituals, but because I let anybody come inside me. Catholic school. Anyway, so I feel like this is high time for me to talk about my family and my childhood. It's fine. It was fine. A normal childhood. Nothing weird happened. But my parents are a little bit eccentric because they have these 5 fishes, right? Which 4 fishes. 4 fishes. 4, 5. I'm becoming like you, Graham Chapman in Holy Grail. Anyway, stop looking at me. They have these 4 fishes, which they named after the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. You know the names: death, famine, war. Yeah. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. That's hyphenated. But you know, and then the pestilence. But you know, he does not die because you know disease. But so they replaced him with the 5th one called Damien. Now Damien, he was the Antichrist. He was very much the Beelzebubbles, the Alpha and Omega 3. Is like he could do weird things in the house. Like once the cat tried to eat him. He ate the cat and had to dive in the fish tank going, "No, Damien, don't eat the cat. It's the only thing that in this house that loves me without judgment." I did save the cat, but it died a week later in a car accident, which no Damien was behind because he was the one driving it. It was very much a, "Oh, not Jesus, take the wheel more. Oh, Jesus, he's taking the wheel. Oh, God, he's got a gun." Also, I'd be like cleaning the dishes as you do. And then he's looking at me. I'm like, "Damien, please stop trying to control me with your mind. No, please just let me clean the dishes. No, please don't make me put the plates in the fish tank. No, okay, fine. It's going in the fish tank. Is that better for you, Damien? Knowing what's actually in this tank water? Piss, shit, and ejaculate. Most of it mine. Except the ejaculate, that's all mine." You know what's like when your parents catch you masturbating in the fish tank, right? Because I've been trying to write more relatable material for audiences. Am I getting anywhere with that? No. And like, you know, when they catch you and they're squatting like Gollum, and like, "Son, no, what are you doing?" I'm like, "No, don't touch us, pass me, the fish has made his do it, and we forgot the taste of bread, precious. We forgot the softness of the wind. We even forgot." So last year I was actually booked for a children's festival by accident. I'm Mr. Catling, thank you, good night.
Thanks, Stephen. That was Stephen Catling. Thank you. Oh my goodness, that was the last act. Stephen was the last act. Gosh.
It's very sad.
Yeah, kind of shocking. Kind of shocking. You've all been brilliant. I do include the audience in that as well as the brilliant acts. Some of the audience, we could see you too. You've all, yeah. Applause. I don't know if we can. Yeah, we can do that, can't we? Yours echo. It just sounds louder. It's brilliant. You know, keep up the applause. The more it echoes around, the more they know how much you love them. Basically,
that was great. I thought that was really, really fun. Thank you.
That was fun. We did our first one. How cool is that?
Yeah, really cool.
I'm really chuffed that you guys did the first one with us, with Lava Elastic, and those of you that joined us for the first time, thanks. Yay. We're all still alive at the end. I'll be quite honest. I've had anxiety dreams where I thought I wouldn't be. So, you know, you guys are great. You're my favourite people right now. I'm just trying to think. I don't know if any of you ever want to join us at Lava Elastic again. If you want to know the name of the brilliant act, so if you want to see other virtual gigs and stuff that they do, first up we had Liz Collis, the lovely Liz Collis. We had George Heslop. I'll join you on that one. I'll join you on all of them. Liz, that's a belated one. I hadn't worked out that I could clap and hold a clipboard at the same time. And talk. I'm not one of life's multitaskers. We had the mind of Cheekykita. Cheekykita as well. We had Mbaku. And finally, last two, Kathryn Spencer. Woo! And Stephen Catling. I've been Sarah Saeed. I still am Sarah Saeed. You guys have been brilliant, all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're all brilliant. And we managed to kind of master the tech enough as well, didn't we, actually? There were no catastrophes, which is a good start. If you do want to see a future Lava Elastic, there'll be some more in May, but I haven't quite pinned down the dates yet. We were going to do Brighton Fringe. As we all know, Brighton Fringe is kind of not a thing now until October. So we're going to go ahead anyway.
May is a long time.
What was that?
It's a long time. May is far away.
You mean we should do more before?
You should, yes.
Yeah, do you know what? Maybe we will actually. Maybe in a couple of weeks we'll do another one. I was actually thinking fortnightly might be a better idea for now. Because let's face it, we all need any like chilling out and comedy and stuff that we can get, basically. Yeah. Communication, on-screen communication stuff, you know. Yeah. If you watch the Lava Elastic Facebook, if you check that out, Lava Elastic Twitter, Lava Elastic Instagram. If you like light fittings as well, Lava Elastic Instagram. There is one thing, and we normally have a colouring in corner at Lava Elastic. Quite often, a lot of the audiences, as well as a lot of the acts, for those of us that are things like on the spectrum and stuff, and find really busy places quite stressful, colouring in corner is a little bit of an oasis of bliss that we have in the corner of the bar, so people don't have to chat and stuff. It's like they can just sit and colour in. And we have an artist who does those, and he did as a special Lava Elastic one. But you can actually, if you are someone that, like me, has been told by therapists to colour in as often as possible, or you just enjoy it, you know, or you just enjoy it. If you look up our lava elastic stuff, or you look up Manic Minotaur, you can get your own version of this, and you can just have a doodle and colour in, because we're actually finding we can do stuff that we just enjoy at the moment. Like, you know, I've got back to meditating occasionally. I never felt I could find the time before. It turns out actually when you don't feel like you have time to meditate, that's exactly when you should be meditating. But I haven't yet mastered that stuff. So anyway, you're all lovely, and I think we've come to the end of the night, guys, for now.
Oh.
You're all brilliant. Thank you.